Hi, my name is Aparna. I am teaching in Thackeray VIdya Niketan, and I've been the class teacher of Agni Prithvi batch since the last 3 years, and I've been teaching them since the last 4 years. So the Red Door intervention started for the Agni Prithvi batch when they were in 7th standard, especially because the bullying and uh, you know just they became very rude to each other. There was sexual bullying going on. When it got too much, the teachers really didn't know what to do, and that's when the Red Door was called into school, and that's how the whole intervention started. It went on for 2 years when they were in 7th and 8th standard, and partly in 9th also. My role was when it started, I wasn't teaching them in 7th standard, but then I took the class teachership in 8th standard and 9th standard, and currently in 10th also. So I've been working very closely with the whole intervention, basically by talking to them in the same language, and keeping track of what is going on and coordinating and stuff like that. A lot of concepts were covered, which would include bullying and why would something like that happen, and your role in bullying, active or passive, you being a bystander, the effects, the causes and effects of bullying, and sexuality, self concept, consent, self love, a lot of topics like that. And I won't say my understanding has completely changed. I think I was on the same page, but in a lot of aspects, my understanding has got a lot deeper. For example, like I would know what is bullying, and but I started thinking more deeply about why would somebody bully and what is happening inside of a bully. And I sort of realized through the whole process that at the core, even a bully is very vulnerable and stuff like that. So the understanding has got a lot deeper. A lot of things have changed. Earlier, before the intervention, I have taught that batch. I did not know how to make them understand certain things about being polite and just being nice to people. It was not easy to make them understand. So after intervention, and while it was going on, there has been a lot of changes in my style of teaching, because I started talking to them in the same language as the Red Door was talking to them in. Basically, because I was not uncomfortable using that language, I was able to hold them accountable. This also happened because I knew what was going on in the intervention, and my whole language and my whole approach towards the children have changed because of Red Door. So accountability has increased, and the language that I would use has considerably changed. I would say it has been enduring because I teach them even now, and they're grown up, they're in 10th standard, and we still talk the same language, and it works. And I found myself using that kind of a language with the other batches as well, or expecting the same kind of stuff from the other batches as well. The entire batch has transformed. The most visible changes are that they've become a lot more polite, they've become calmer, they would understand when things are going wrong. There are many situations where they would stop the bullying that's going on. They are able to actively identify bullying, and they're able to reflect and understand if they are, taking an active role in the bullying. They're able to talk to other people, especially their peers, and make them understand things when they're going through a bad time. They're able to support each other. They're being there for each other. They've started caring for people. Let it be peers or it can be the teachers as well. When you're in a bad mood, they know how to deal with you. They were not able to do all those things earlier. They would just be. So if I'm having a bad day, and so they would respond to it in a bad way too. They're not able to identify, but right now there's a lot of change. They would take care of you more if you are in a mess. And I think their self-concept has changed. People have started being vocal about issues. This concept of I don't need to be bullied. I'm worthy of much more. That sort of a thing has happened in them. Generally, they've become much nicer, kinder people. One thing that definitely worked is the sex ed bit, because when you're giving them information, like good information, it satisfies their curiosity. I've had multiple adult conversations with them, especially because I teach science. I'm able to do that with so much comfort. Adults are not able to have that kind of a seriousness. The bits about self-image and self-love has done wonders, because everybody in that batch, especially the girls, would say, I deserve to be treated well, and I don't take nonsense, even if it is from adults or the boys or their own peers. So they're able to talk about it in a polite way, demand respect in a polite way. The bit about consent is a big piece, because they have now understood it completely, that they ask you first. It can be sexual consent, it can be otherwise also. Whether you want help, can I do this for you? They've got into the habit of asking for permission, and I think that's a huge change. It's not just sex ed. There was a space to ask anything that you want. They were not judged for, I think their curiosity was given space. It was accepted. Nobody judged them for saying they were bad people. Even when they did mistakes, the space was held for them and they were accepted the way they were. That's not something that happens in all spaces. The space had become completely safe. Even the bullies were accepted in that space by their peers and by their teachers. I wouldn't say all teachers, but people who at least were there in that intervention were able to do that for them. So when the acceptance piece came in, it was much easier for them to be themselves. And then I think that would facilitate change further. There are many situations where a boy who has been a bully for a long time, there was an instance when he was getting into substances, and from his face we would know that he's not fine. His eyes were getting red and he's missing classes and all that. There were situations where I, as an adult, or any other teachers in that space, were not able to contact him properly because he was not willing to talk. At that situations, there were children who were not really his best friends, or they were not talking on a regular basis, but there were girls who went on to ask him what's going on with him, and they would do that with such humility. They'll be nice to him and say, is everything okay at home? Or they would go sit with them. They would spend their lunch breaks with them, and and just to figure out whether they're okay, and they would just go and crack jokes with them, and they would be nice with them. Even if the boy is being rude to them, they would just be like, okay, I understand that you're not fine, and they would back off. Those kind of things have happened, so much. And even for girls, I think what has happened is that they've been empowered to a different level. Now if they see another girl is in an abusive relationship or something, they would stand up for the girl. And even if she's being hurt by her boyfriend, the friends would be there for her, and the friends would hold space and talk to her and make her understand that you don't deserve this, you don't need to take this crap. They would stay with her and make sure she's okay. They would direct her to the best person available, to the best adult available. A lot of things like that have happened. It allowed me to be in those sessions, and it allowed me to allow myself to deepen my understanding about the various issues that might be happening, and it allowed me to broaden my own perspective about the whole thing. So just because I was comfortable being in that space, I got to learn much more. All they need is some sort of a reminder. Even now they sort of use the same language. If I use the same language, talk to them about hypocrisy, if they're being so, if they're not, if they're acting differently, and they respond to it. That I think is because the intervention has been very enduring. They've become much calmer, but they're still kids. I don't think the sex ed has robbed them of their childhood or anything like that. What has happened is that they've become much mature people and much mature kids. Their understanding has deepened, and they've just become nicer people.